Welcome to Chamber Exchange, a TV show. My name is Tim Murray, President and CEO of the Worcester Regional Chamber of Commerce. And Chamber Exchange, a TV show, is brought to you by our sponsor, Bank Hometown, who we want to thank for making the show happen. And it's an opportunity for us to bring on guests, making things happen in terms of economic development and job creation here in Central Massachusetts. And I'm thrilled to have with us in this segment Bruce Platzman, who's the co-founder and CEO, and Nick Haritos, who is the president of AIS. So welcome, gentlemen.
Thanks for having us, and welcome.
Well, Bruce, bit of a time of transition at AIS, and for you, that probably a flood of things come to mind in terms of being a co-founder of the company and a transition in leadership. Why don't you talk a little bit about that and what AIS does for those who aren't familiar?
Well, we started 32 years ago in Boston as a remanufacturer of office furniture, and today we're in Leominster, Mass, in a 600,000 square foot building with 800 employees. And we continue to manufacture office furniture. And you mentioned transition, and it's something we've been talking about. Arthur Maxwell, who I started the company with, we've been talking about this for about 5 years, but we wanted to make sure the time was right. And not only right for ourselves and the company, but we were in a position to take what we built culturally and our go-to-market strategy and our value proposition and make sure we were going to put it in good hands with the next leadership team. And Nick has been with the company over 7 years now. I've known him for close to 40 years, and we're in a great place right now with Nick taking over the day-to-day operations as CEO.
And Nick, you've been in that role now for a year or so. How's it going?
So far, so good. I've got a sales background, and I ran sales prior to that, so it's hard to remove the sales guy from the rest. But I'm learning, a little bit of finance, a little bit of manufacturing. But Bruce and Arthur have built a fantastic team over there, so it's been a good transition.
Right.
But, enjoy learning.
Yeah, and having had the chance, Bruce, to come up and tour not only the showroom, if you will, where people can get a sense of the products that they might utilize in their office setting. I mean, just the manufacturing facility itself and kind of the lean, efficient operation and the number of people you employ is a lot to learn.
Yes, there is. Yeah.
Bruce, when we're talking about this transition, it's kind of an interesting time to transition. We're coming out of COVID. Clearly, that situation, a war over in Europe, supply chains, really pushed and taxed, manufacturing looking to come back. How's it affecting your business, and where do you see the opportunities?
We're in a very unique position, and business is great. We're going to be up 25% this year, and that's both top line and bottom line. We've certainly had some of the challenges that we hear about every day, and you mentioned some of those, the war in Ukraine, the economy, inflation, those are affecting supply chains, but we've been able to mitigate through that. Corporate America is going through change, and change is good for an office furniture manufacturer. And we've been able to build a facility and put a team together that continues to outperform our competitors within our industry.
Yeah. Nick, any thoughts on that?
No, I think Bruce hit it. I mean, when I was a kid and I'd go to the Topsfield Fair, I'd play whack-a-mole, right, at the fair. And this is kind of like business whack-a-mole because the issues just keep popping up, and we've built a good team, and we knock them down and take them as they come. But we've got ahead of it, which is great.
Yeah. Well, to both myself and viewers, I mean, to some extent, it may seem counterintuitive. There's this conversation of people working remotely or hybrid work. Businesses saying, do they need less space? You would think that would mean there'd be less of a demand, but Bruce, you're saying up 25%. Is that because people are rethinking?
Well, there are certain industries that are very strong, both locally and across the country. Biotech, high tech, governmental agencies continue to buy. Department of Defense, those are areas we're very strong and continue to grow in. But the other thing that's happening is lots of corporations, as they have come back from COVID, they're looking at their offices and saying, we've got to address how we house our people a little differently, and that change is great for our business. And the other thing too is if you're working with a hybrid model, you still need an office when you go back. Even if you're only in the office 2 to 3 days a week, you need a place to sit. And so those are all creating nice opportunities for us.
Right. Both of you have referenced the use of the word team, and 800 employees. You have a sales team, a manufacturing team, marketing, a whole gamut there. But in terms of talking to manufacturers in particular, there's a challenge right now in finding workers. getting period in all sectors, but people in manufacturing, what would you say and certainly you've got, from going up from the tour, families that refer families, so that
Right.
usually is a sign it's a good place to work. What would you say to the people out there about why they should take a look at manufacturing and what AIS has to offer?
Well, as far as, we're not looking for a person or an individual or an employee that's looking to come to work somewhere for a month or 2 months. We're looking for people that really want to start a career. So in central Massachusetts, we have some of the best wages. We have great benefits. We have a very clean, very modern, very new and efficient facility. And word of mouth, as you said, is spreading. And we're known as a company in Central Mass in Worcester County as a place to start a career and develop a career and really be able to support your families. And it will continue.
Yeah. Many of our factory, especially the supervisors and the managers, have come up through the ranks, and we have a great training program, and we really try and encourage that. So as Bruce mentioned, it's not just an hourly job, it's a long-term career.
Right. And there's some flexibility, Nick, as I understand it, in terms of shifts, right? There's 2 or 3 shifts that you have operating?
We have 3 different degrees of how much they're operating. The 3rd shift is mostly maintenance because of the technology in the plant. But we are very flexible in that respect. During COVID, we did a great job of social distancing. We had 4 shifts, bringing people in very, very early, and then we had smaller shifts, but more frequent. So, you have to be nimble.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you mentioned some of the sectors that are strong in terms of purchasing, but the other element in the showroom is you've got to constantly be kind of thinking of trends, colors, all those things. How do you kind of stay on top of that?
I'll let you answer that one.
Yeah. There is color trend analysis. Sherwin-Williams is the largest manufacturer of paint, and they do a great deal of research. And we've worked with them on some of the trends. And you have to go from space, and it's not across the board. What's good? And we do K through 12 work. What's good through K through 12 isn't necessarily good for Amazon. So right. It's all across the board, but it's a constant to keep up with. And it as Bruce mentioned earlier, the great thing about our business is it'll change. It's like the New England weather. It's going to change.
Yeah. And then the other pieces, as people, health and wellness. I mean, ergonomics, standing desk. A lot of things you need to be able to integrate and respond to.
Sure. And as people work from home, the company's responsibility extends from the office to the house. If somebody gets hurt because they're working at their dining room table and they don't have the appropriate office setup, and you've mandated that they work from home 2 days a week, well, those companies need to make sure they have the appropriate ergonomic setup at home as well as in the office.
Mm-hmm. So. And so, Bruce, as this transition happens, you've been focused on building and growing this company. And doing some great things here in central Massachusetts. I mean, employing 800 people in this region is a huge legacy and contribution. And in a minute we have left there, what's the plan next?
Well, I'm still going to be involved with the company.
Yeah.
Nick is going to have to see me right next to him quite often, but it's going to be more in a collaborative type of environment and mentoring and really working with Nick to take us to the next chapter of AIS. At the same time, me personally, I'm going to be involved in a lot of philanthropic endeavors, which our company is very involved in, and I have been. As you know, I'm on the board of the United Way. I'm on the board of directors at Make-A-Wish.
Chamber.
Yep, in the chamber, of course. Going to give you more time, so you're going to see me more. But those are things that really drive me and that I'm passionate about, and I'm going to continue to be involved.
Great. Bruce, Nick, thanks for being with us on this segment, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Great.
And stay with us in our next segment of Chamber Exchange, a TV show.
These days, you've got your hands full in life. That's why we help you bank simply and securely with tools like Face ID and Touch ID. It's why we make it easy to make purchases on the go and get cash back while you're at it. Why we help you quickly deposit checks wherever you are. And it's why we lend a hand with sending and receiving money right from your phone. So even when you're on the move, you can manage your finances. Bank Hometown. Unlock your potential.
Worcester, a city with heart, history, and promise. A hub of innovation in life sciences, education, and healthcare. Home to multi-generational families, first-generation citizens, and next-generation baseball and hockey greats. Home to great parks, world-class museums, theaters, and restaurants. Worcester, the place to visit, to invest, and to call home.